Yes. Alright. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all of our viewers. I can see that we have Mr. John Koo online. Thank you very much. From Seda, Malaysia. Dr. Cha, thank you very much joining us. Mr. Ediwan, this is Titi. Thank you. So first and foremost, I would like to extend my gratitude towards Urbanice, towards KPKT for organizing this very good forum, which we call it Malaysian Urban Forum towards Sustainable Urban Nation 2030. So I'll be your moderators for today's session. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Kamudin. Please don't mistake me as a woman, as you can see, I'm a guy. I get that a lot. Many people think that I'm a woman based on my name itself. So I'm currently the director of the Property or Valuation and Management Department, Majlis Bandaraya Shah. So for today's session, our topic is COVID-19 and its impact to low carbon agenda, right? It's a very good topic for us to discuss this morning. We are very grateful today. We have a few panel of speakers who are specialists in their own in their fields. First, let me introduce to you Mr. Muhammad Shah Hambali Arifin, Deputy Director, Technical Development and Facilitation, Sustainable Energy Development Authority of SEDA. Encik Ahmad Hambali is Muhammad Shah Hambali, sorry, is currently the Acting Deputy Director who oversees energy management, low carbon building and city initiatives. He is involved in the development of SEDA's voluntary sustainable low carbon building green pass assessment system and building energy data online system used to assess the performance of low EE carbon building, the extended version of common carbon matrix CCM by UNEP SBCI. So we hope that Mr. Muhammad Shah could elaborate further on his field of work so that we can have a broader vision of SEDA's role in low carbon and energy reduction towards our nation. After spending nearly 10 years working in sustainable projects, he knows what truly drives low carbon building action and climate change mitigation. And it's not just the policies and annual pledge to reduce carbon emissions, it's the symbiotic relationship between the people of part of this carbon reduction ecosystem. So we are very grateful. Thank you so much, Encik Muhammad Shah Hambali. You can see a very handsome guy. Good, looking very, very good. Okay, just online, Encik Ahmad Radi bin Ma'ruf, Deputy Director General of Development.
Hi everybody.
Looking very good, Mr. Ahmad Radi. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, thank you.
Difficulties. Very handsome guy as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with us, our only lady on the floor, Puan Sharifah binti Yaakob. She had been in almost 30 years in environment field. She's an engineer by trade from University of Southwestern Louisiana, United States in 1987. And she's also had a Master of Science in Environment Engineering in UTM 1993. So very, very good, very experienced speaker we have with us today. So a little bit about our topic that we are going to discuss today. Panel of speakers, thank you so much for coming in. Puan Sharifah, you look so cute as well. So as we all know, the recent pandemic that coming in, the COVID-19 that greatly affect our lives. Not just our life, it also in the economics and so the environment and everything. This is the first time that in my lifetime, because I've been made known by my mother that in 1970s also have a total down, but it's about a TB disease, if I'm not mistaken. But that was in the 70s. Now we have a new one, the coronavirus disease that have been infected all over the world, in fact. And as for us in Malaysia, we have encountered the movement control order that which been have been implemented in March 18 until the 15th of May, and now still we are in the movement control order, but not as strict as the what we experienced in March and April. So I believe there are many areas that affected, not just our personal lives, but also the environment. And we are very grateful that we have Seda to give your view. Puan Sharifah as a member of the Waste Management Association of Malaysia, we call it WAM. Am I right, Puan Sharifah? WAM? Could you please turn on your microphone because we cannot hear you. Turn on your microphone. Yes. Okay. So without further ado, I will go. Maybe I will split this session into 3 categories or 3 rounds, which we will reflect on what we have experienced earlier in March, April, May, and then what we are experiencing now and what are we going to do in the future post COVID-19. As we all know, during the COVID-19, most of us been working at home. The roads are cleared, no cars whatsoever on the road, and I believe that there are some degree of reduction of energy. So we start off with Encik Muhammad Shah. If you can give us an overview, what happened during the COVID-19, the MCO, the movement control order that we've encountered. Please, Mr. Muhammad Shah. Welcome.
Okay, boleh dengar ya. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Cik Khairul Nisa bin Kamaruddin. So let me try to share my slide first. Right. I can share your screen. All right. Share window. Okay. Right, boleh. Can you see the slide?
Yes, it's loading up. It's loading up. Okay, yes.
All right, let me project it. Okay. Everything okay, yeah? Cik Khairul?
Yes, I can see that.
All right, so as introduced, my name is Muhammad Syamali Arifin. I'm currently the Acting Deputy Director, Technical Development and Facilitation Division here at SEDA Malaysia. So first of all, thank you to the organizer, Malaysia Urban Forum, KPKT, Urbanice, and also MBSA. So I'm going to share a bit about our experience during MCO, COVID pandemic, COVID-19, and its effect towards energy, electricity per se. So there is no much data on Malaysia, but I'm using the Asia and global data, but more or less it served the purpose. All right. COVID-19 pandemic versus climate change is actually also the health and also versus climate. So the COVID-19 crisis it's highlighting on how cities around the world capable in adapting to the norms. It also forcing us to acknowledge the immediate need to better prepare our people, especially the most vulnerable. So, but on the upside, it has shown us that a large-scale comprehensive response to a global crisis is possible. It's also forcing us to acknowledge the immediate need to better prepare our people as it's the only way to withstand and manage any future unprecedented health and climate crisis. Whether it's more intense crisis in comparison to climate change, this actually cannot be compared and also discussed. And discussion is may not be relevant because both COVID-19 pandemic and also climate change is equally important. Um, basically, statement from World Economic Forum's climate action must stay top of the global agenda as we emerge from COVID-19, meaning to say, lesson learned from COVID-19 pandemic can be applied to curb the climate change issue. So as COVID-19 pandemic is spreading across the world, most countries are affected in different levels depending on the infection severity and mitigation capabilities, including Malaysia. So the impact in Malaysia were also observed since the outbreak of COVID-19 in Wuhan, China. So if I'm not mistaken, the first Malaysia cases is actually in March 2020. It was widely discussed in academic papers, in fact in media. Also, although this plague is severely damaging in terms of socio-economic and aspects, positive impact have been observed from the environment point of view. We have clear skies, we have cleaner river, wildlife is starting to emerge and to exist, actually exist in parks, everything. Okay. Studies from Ipsos April 20, two-thirds of citizens around the world agree climate change is a serious crisis as coronavirus. All right. So my slide is actually next slide is that we can't self-isolate from climate change. This is actually a statement from UN Environment Chief. COVID-19 is not a silver lining for the climate. It's a bitter truth. Simply because of shifting of energy usage as the work from home is widely practiced. So previously we have electricity consumption in office and government buildings. So the energy usage actually shift from office building to home, and that the COVID-19 actually could mark a turning point in progress climate change, with major economies drawing up enormous economic packages to cushion the shock of the coronavirus, with a massive amount less of traffic, as I mentioned just now, on the road, thousands of airplanes on the ground, about 20% of the world in lockdown, and factories shut down, not really shut down, closed for a MCO period. The positive fallout on the environment of the COVID-19 crisis can be seen. So the greenhouse gas emissions are down and air quality has gone up. As air quality has gone up as the government react to the COVID-19 pandemic, and also the visible positive impact whether through improved air quality or reduced greenhouse gas emission, but temporary, because they come on the back of tragic economic slowdown and human distress right after the pandemic COVID-19, when the economy start to back to normal. So the pandemic will also result in increase in the amounts of medical and hazardous waste generated. Easy, the one that we can see is actually the mask that we use daily. And indeed, fossil fuel use would have to decline by about 10%. Some cases in certain countries, the fossil fuel decline about more than 20% around the world. So, however, the trend is changing as the recovery is in recovery mode. As I mentioned just now, a sudden boom is expected. For example, China is, for example, in early March, when the country was still deep in corona crisis, level of nitrogen oxide were down by as much as 30%. but have reportedly since bounced back 6% higher than 2019 level. All right. So at the same time, important milestone in climate negotiation may well be delayed. This is also a statement by UN Environment Chief. And in the event of economic recession, it is likely that funds reserved for investment in sustainable will be diverted to other projects. Meaning to say we have less amount of fund to curb climate change issues. But if we look at possible side, this is actually a good sign. Once we beat COVID-19, we need to use the same zeal we applied to defeating it and immediately redirect it toward carbon pollution. So the solution is much easier than coronavirus. It's been modeled extensively. All right, next slide is actually also from World Economic Forum. It's actually a study done by World Economic Forum, on the top 10 risks over the next 10 years, long-term risk outlook, likelihood. The World Economic Forum emphasized in its latest global risk report. For the first time, the global top 5 risks in terms of likelihood are all related to the environment, namely extreme weather, climate action failure, natural disaster, biodiversity loss, and also human-made environmental disaster. For the first time, the 5 issue top risk over the next 10 years is related to climate change. Okay. Fortunately, the general understanding that the climate and our health are deeply and directly connecting is growing right now. All right. So here in Malaysia, are we ready? So this is actually a poll conducted in 14 countries, and then followed by another around 15 countries. So the total is about 29 countries in the world, including Malaysia. So from the poll, it is found that 71% of global agree that in the long-term climate change is a serious crisis as a COVID-19. Okay. Another Ipsos survey on global warming climate change. What is the top environmental issue you feel should receive the greatest attention from your local leaders? On the aspects of global warming and climate change, if you can see over here, Malaysia scored around 41%, on par with Germany, on par with the developed country like Germany, France, Australia, and even our awareness is actually slightly more than US, New Zealand, Spain, Great Britain, and India. All right. So my SEDA is actually sustainable energy, of course. So I'm gonna touch a bit about primary energy supply in Malaysia. So we are using coal and natural gas as a major fuel source for electricity since 1990 till 2016. So energy in global market with supply chain that crisscross the globe, and the coal out delivery is already impacting the energy sector, including Malaysia. All right. So the electricity consumption by sector. Before that, this is actually a data from power utility, RPPs, and self generators. I can only extract that this data. The newest data is actually 2016. So this is actually data 2016 data. All right. So electricity consumption by sector, building sector, commercial, and residential consume the biggest chunk of energy, around 52.4%, followed by industrial. Okay. So the same thing, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, recognized and identified building as a key sector for mitigating climate change. So here we can see also in Malaysia, building sector contribute about 52.4%. And then this emission have the
Mr. Chan, let me interrupt for a second.
Sorry?
Let me interrupt you for a second. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this statistic is based on during the COVID-19 period?
No, not really. So I'm about to share the data during COVID-19
Okay.
right after this.
Okay.
Yeah. So So as I mentioned just now, even the IPC fault assessment report by UNEP due to its significant mitigation potential realization in building sector. So they said that the Paris Agreement identified that 2-degree part is not achievable without reducing emission from building and also construction. So in short, without significant action by the building sector, this target will not be met. Okay. Therefore, we can conclude that pertinent that the building performance and at this life cycle stage be addressed accordingly to cut down emission. So what I mean just now at this life cycle stage is actually during the operational carbon, because study shows that operational carbon contribute to 80% of carbon emission during the life cycle of building. So the rest is embodied carbon, 20% during the construction and maybe during the demolition. Okay. So basically, this is Karul, this is data from. Unfortunately, we don't have data from Malaysia. This is actually from I got this from the nearest our neighboring country, from Thailand. Source COVID-19 impact on LCC by ERM, actually studied by ERM Thailand. They are based in Bangkok. Later on, I will overlap with our data on Malaysia COVID cases by Ministry of Health. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, the stage can be divided into 4 main stage, which is business as usual. Basically, during the started of the cases, end of 2019 up to January and February. Then we have lockdown period in Malaysia starting on March, end of March, up to till end of April, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have a fluctuate recovery, meaning to say that cases is still, there are still cases, but we are slowly improving. So then followed by constant recovery. And finally, in future, hopefully by starting for 2021 till 2025, in the stage of build back better. Okay, basically the orange color is residential building. The light orange is commercial and institutional building and facilities, and then followed by manufacturing, industry, and the construction. The blue one is on-road transportation. And last but not least is the solid waste disposal. All right. So if you can see that the second graph is actually the Malaysia COVID cases by Ministry of Health. So I just overlap these two graphs to show the better relationship between these cases. So if you can see that during at the peak of pandemic case, COVID-19 cases in Malaysia, you can see that GHG emission is reduced significantly. If you can see the second stage, the lockdown period, late March and April, till April. And then as we go to July, constant recovery and also the fluctuate recovery, the GHG emission starting to increase again. And then recently, September, early September, if I'm not mistaken, early September, the cases is up and increase again. So hopefully that this can be reduced in order for us to start the economy back again. So yeah, this is actually the data. Projection data, there is maybe a slight increase of GHG emission in 2021 onwards because of the economy start to start again. Okay, all right. So you can see the relationship between these two graphs. The next is actually, so like I mentioned just now, the MCO during April. So all right. And then what we can do is actually, so what cities can do, they call it as a build back better, lesson learned from COVID pandemic 19 issues. For I'm going to touch a bit about on building sector. As SEDA is promoting low carbon building. So, like I mentioned, so what city can actually do is to keep the momentum. As countries worldwide have started easing lockdown imposed to curb the coronavirus pandemic, what key policy changes could get economies moving again is actually take advantage of what we have learned and set up for another big crisis. So the another big crisis is actually the climate change. All right. So the first initiative that can be done by cities actually is energy efficiency data collection indicators. So, and why is this important? It's actually because a sound comprehensive database containing information about energy and users market technology efficiency opportunities can contribute to the development of effective energy efficiency strategies and policies, particularly in cities. So I like to mention this. I use this word a few times in my previous presentation. We can only control things that we can monitor. So establish stable energy data. Require data submission from building owner. I believe for MBSA, initiative on this has been done for a small dedicated area and soon will be expanded. Later, I will show some data, some data from MBSA that register with our program, Low Carbon Building Assessment System. And then second one is leverage private investment in energy efficiency by developing innovative financing vehicle for energy efficiency projects. And then collaborating with financial institution, establishing funding mechanism, rebates, maybe for residential and also commercial. And the third one is adoption of building energy codes and maps. Like we have already national standard MS1525, energy efficiency use and use of renewable energy for non-residential buildings. So what city can do is actually is use these guidelines to put the requirement for the building approval and maybe create awareness to building owner, including those housewife for residential building. And then, like I mentioned just now, number 4 is actually ensuring performance through building, monitoring, evaluation, and assessment. So hereby, in Malaysia, I'm just sharing the nearest example service done by SEDA Malaysia. We call it as a SEDA Malaysia Voluntary Sustainable Low Carbon Building Performance Assessment Green Pass program. So as of June 2020, 158 building has been registered in SEDA Malaysia and 113 building was approved and have been rated with SEDA Malaysia Voluntary Sustainable Low Carbon Building Performance Assessment ranging from 1 to 4 diamonds. About 8 to 10 buildings in Shah Alam has registered with SEDA Malaysia. So
Okay,
if you
Mr. Muhammad Shah, sorry, I have to
apa
interrupt you. I think you've taken a bit of time.
Yeah. So actually, this is my second slide, last slide. So the next,
Okay.
okay. All right, I'm gonna go fast. So the fifth one is aiming for net zero energy consumption in building, and this is actually my last slide. Better cross sectoral, like low carbon, healthy and safe lifestyle, renewable energy, and low carbon mobility. So the low carbon mobility, I will let Encik Ahmad Radi to explain from our part. He is more expert than on this. Renewable energy, we have a lot of initiative by SEDA Malaysia. We have feed-in tariff mechanism, and then we have right now we have net energy mechanism that can be used by either residential area, industrial, and even commercial area and office building. So I think this is my last slide. Yeah. So if you need further info, you can contact me directly, or you can contact Seda Malaysia. Ton of info in our website, and I'm available from 8:30 to 5:30. Yeah. So basically,
I think
back
available
to
for
you,
24
Carol.
hours. All right, thank you, Mr. Muhammad Shah. A very informative presentation just now. From what we heard, there are a few points that have caught my attention there. From what we've seen that during the COVID-19, we have a reduction of energy usage of about 89 million kilowatt per hour. That's quite a lot because
If I may correct that one, it's actually data from last year till June this year.
okay.
Yeah.
No, so the breakdown of the energy consumption is mainly from industry and commercial, is it right?
Yeah, but right. Commercial industry.
But this is which will brought back to a very interesting statistic about the transport. The usage of the energy is about 0.2% only. So I would like to introduce our next speaker. Just now, I think I left out Encik Ahmad Radi bin Ma'ruf, who is a Deputy Director General of Development in Agensi Pengangkutan Awam Darat. So I would like to invite Encik Muhammad Radi to give us an insight during the COVID-19 period, the MCO period. Now after the MCO, what is happening right now, and what is the future plan from the Agensi Pengangkutan Awam Darat? Please, Mr. Radi.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Khairul, and fellow speakers this morning. Sorry, I came in late earlier because of some connection issue. I was asked to. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, let me just go into the slides that I have prepared. Okay. How do I? Okay. How do I? Okay, can somebody turn on the slides that I have given to the secretariat earlier, maybe? Because I'm not, I don't seem to be able to do so here. Okay, that's one. All right, thank you. Go to the next page, please. Okay. Before I go on, maybe I would like to just share a little bit on what we do at the agency. Basically, our full name is Land Public Transport Agency, or APAD as we are known here. We have two major responsibilities when it comes to public transport here in Malaysia. One is to regulate. So how do we do it? We regulate by issuing license to operators of public transport vehicles as well as commercial vehicles. And number two, what we do is we do monitoring of performance of these operators, basically to ensure that safety, reliability, and also efficiency to the users is maintained. So in terms of the customers or the clients that we serve, of course, number one is the users, which is all of us here that would take public transport, every day. In my case, for example, and in terms of the operators, we are looking at bus operators, we're looking at lorry operators, rail operators, and also taxi and e-hailing. So in terms of numbers, for buses, for example, you're looking at 16,000 operators throughout the country with 45,000 vehicles. You know, you're talking about school buses, express buses, stage buses, all kinds of buses. When it comes to lorry, you're looking at 37,000 operators operating about 282,000 vehicles, ranging from the 7.5 ton lorries up to the 52 or 53 ton trailers. When it comes to rail operators, you know, there are only 4 operators in Malaysia. I think everybody knows KTMB, Rapid Rail. We have the ERL, you know, and also the MRT lah. So these are the 4 operators. In totality, 1.7 thousand, 1,700 kilometer of rail length throughout the country. And then we also have taxi and e-hailing. uh, you know, so everybody knows Grab as the biggest e-hailing company in the country, but we have 46 together, 46 e-hailing operators with license to operate in the country, not just Grab. There's another 45 companies doing the same thing. So in totality, 120 vehicles running around the country as e-hailing vehicles. And for taxi, we have about 50,000 taxi vehicles operating in Malaysia. So this is the general overview of the transport industry in the country. And these are also the industry that are was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm going to go into that. Next page, please. Okay, thank you. Okay, just to share with everybody, we have several stages of the MCO phases. And for each of the different phases, the public transport services are also a bit, different. So we go to the start of the year, January and February before MCO. So in terms of the normal operating hours of services for public transport, for rail and buses, I'm using the example of Klang Valley or Greater KL, but it is mostly similar throughout the country. So normal service starts at 6 a.m. Up to 12 midnight for rail and bus services. And for rail, if you have taken LRT previously or MRT, you know, or during peak hour, services is every 3 minutes. You know, at the worst is 5 to 7 minutes, but it's very fast, very frequent. And off peak is 7 to 15 minutes. So buses is a bit more relaxed, 15 to 30 minutes in terms of intervals. These were the operating hours and services before the MCO. So when the MCO started on the 18th of March, services changed drastically for 2 reasons. One, because there's no more customers. You know, nobody went to the offices. There's no commuters anymore. Everybody was staying at home, and the operators also stopped services for a week, I think. And then when MKN, when government decided that some essential services can go on, so our public transport services also started again, but with very minimal service. For example, for rail services in KL, it only there are two windows of operation. One in the morning, from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., and also in the evening from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. So, and there's no services in between. So everybody, they have to find other means. They have to stay at home. So even public transport services reflect this requirement, and the services are mostly for frontliners who has to go to the hospitals and stuff like that. And so when they go to work and when they come back to work, we provide some minimal services for them. Even for bus operators, many of them actually stop services during the first phases of the MCO. Um, and for taxi and e-hailing, if everybody remembers, they were limited to from 6 to a.m. to 10 p.m. only. It's no longer 24-hour services for taxi and e-hailing during the first 4 phases of MCO. Then on the 4th of May 2020, the Minister of Transport announced that the transport services, public transport services will resume back to normal gradually, starting on the 4th of May. once the government has ended the first 4 phases of MCO, we went into conditional MCO, CMCO, during the month of May. So services went back to normal. So as you can see the chart here, services were only interrupted in terms of number of trains and number of services during the first 4 phases of MCO only. But in terms of impact to the operators, in terms of impact to the users, it's quite massive and drastic. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this same slide, but I would like to show the impact in terms of the number of users, a number of ridership who actually use public transport throughout the MCO phases that we have just spoken about. Okay, if you look at the month of January and February, in terms of the overall average ridership per day, you're looking at 1.27 million ridership a day in KL, in Klang Valley, you know. And in April, this is at the peakest peak of the MCO, the average daily ridership dropped to 72,000 passengers a day. That is a 95% drop in terms of average daily passengers from January and February to April, within the span of about a month and a half. You know, that 95% drop. So this, I mean, this was due to a couple of reasons. One is because there are no commuters. Everybody working from home. Nobody goes to the office. Nobody goes shopping. Nobody goes outside, you know, and do stuff. So there's no demand for public transport. And the other reason is the service itself was cut down to a minimal service because of the direction from the government at that time. So this was the the situation that happened. And when the MCO was slowly lifted to CMCO and then to RMCO, recovery MCO, now until December. So in August, what we see is the number has gone up again from 72,000 during the MCO, gone up again to 678,000 passengers a day. So this shows that there is people taking the public transportation again. People are going to back to work again and do their daily trips outside their homes. So we can see that the number, but when you compare this number, this August number, to the August number of last year in 2019, there's still a huge drop of 48%. If you look at the figures below, in August 2019, number of people taking public transport in KL is around 1.29 million a day, and in August this year, it has only touched 678,000 a day. So that's a 48% drop. So even though services has gone back to normal, similar to last year, the number of people taking public transport has not gone up to that level because we are still feeling the impact of COVID-19. Meaning, one is people may have lost a little bit of trust in terms of public transport when it comes to their personal safety. And secondly, is because they maybe not willing to share, the space within in the LRT or in the MRT. They opt to take their car to the offices because they want to reduce the risk. So this is the issues that we are facing at the moment, in how to gain back the trust from the public to come back to public transport and leave their cars at home. And at the end of the day, this will also help the energy crisis that our colleague from SEDA have spoken earlier, and use a transport mode that will help in terms of pulling down the carbon footprint. So So what have been, what is the government doing about this? How are we going to help the transport industry, to help the users of the public transport to come back to, to use public transport as more and more every day? So next slide, please. So in terms of what the government is doing, first, of course, we have imposed strict SOP for each of the public transport operator to follow. If you happen to take the LRT or MRT recently, before you can get into the platform, people will, the officers will check for your temperature. They will, you have to key in your MySejahtera code and stuff like that. You have to make sure that your mask is properly put on before you are allowed onto public transport services. This is for two reasons. One is to make sure that the virus will not, spread easily on public transport. And secondly is to create trust to the users that it is a safe transport to use. And there's also a requirement for the operator to sanitize the vehicle, sanitize the station every day once the services has, shut down. So this is the SOP that government has imposed on public transport operators to make sure that the safety of the passengers maintained and ensured. Okay, and on top of that, government has come up with the My 30 initiative. What does this My 30 mean? Is that you can now take the rapid KL services, rail and buses included, for only 30 ringgit. You can get unlimited usage for 30 days on rapid rail and rapid bus services in KL. So the normal fare right now before MCO is 100 ringgit per month for rapid rail services and 50 ringgit for buses. But with this initiative, it has been reduced to only 30 ringgit. That's only 1 ringgit a day over 30 days, and for unlimited rides on rail and buses. So this is to attract people to leave their cars at home and hop onto a LRT, hop onto a bus to get to their offices. So this is what is also putting trust back onto the users to start getting on public transport. That's why you see the numbers earlier has gone up again, even though the virus, the COVID-19 pandemic is still going on, because people, it is becoming more affordable, very, very affordable for people to use public transport in KL. So this is the first initiative that were done to improve public transport. The also the other three that I'm going to show here is one is for in terms of public transport vehicle age limit. So what the government is doing is that we are allowing an extension of 1 year for operators of public transport. For example, each vehicle of public transport vehicle has an age limit. For example, an express bus cannot be more than 12 years, of age. A taxi is 10 years, something like that. So what we allow, what we are doing here is we allowing the operators to delay the replacement of the vehicle. Meaning, once a vehicle has reached its age limit, it has to be replaced. It cannot be continued being used as a taxi, for example. So but this year, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the operators have been impacted massively from it due to the lack of customers. So they are unable to replace their vehicles, and when we allow for this 1 year extension, they are being given 1 year, another year to make use of the existing vehicle, and this will minimize the financial burden that is faced by the operators. Okay, this is one. And also, we also have fee postponement. This is similar to a moratorium, whereby the operators are given a 6 to 12 months leeway, or leave from having to pay their license fees and vehicle permits and stuff like that. This will also lessen the financial burden that are being faced by the public transport and commercial vehicle operators. And lastly, recently, I think everybody has know that the government has done the COVID-19 Act Amendment, Rang Undang-Undang Amendment, and for the under the Public Transport Act 715, we under this amendment we are allowing for temporary change of use of vehicles until 31st December 2021. So what does this mean is that if you are currently an operator of school bus, for example, this rule allows you to use your school bus to also do delivery businesses for Shopee or Lazada and stuff like that. So this allow operators to generate income by venturing into other transport services using their existing vehicles. So so that it creates more opportunity for the operators in terms of businesses without having to invest on a new vehicle as per the normal requirement. So this is extended until 31st December next year to allow for operators to recover from the impact that they are feeling from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much. I think I
Boleh.
have to stop you there because I have to give way to Madam Sharifah Yaakob.
Boleh.
Now, you have given us a very good enlightenment regarding the transport situation in Malaysia, because I think the APAT should look into bringing back the public trust to use the public vehicles again, because I think the more public use their own transport, it will make emission of the carbon back to for MCO, right?
Yep.
So
Correct.
for the Khalifah, this the main data we are looking forward from WEM. So Puan Sharifah can give us a very clear view of what happened during the MCO and what is happening now. What is the forecast from WEM if the COVID is altogether is gone? So without further ado, please, Puan Sharifah, we welcome you to take the floor.
Thank you, our lovely moderator, Cik Khairul, and fellow speakers. So I will share my slides now. See whether I can do it. Yeah, okay. Can you see the slide? Yes, good. Okay. Okay. So COVID-19 and its impact to low carbon agenda. So I'm Sarifah from Waste Management Association. How to go next? Okay. All right. Okay. So I will give a short introduction on WAM and the new normal. What is the positive outcome? And what are the challenges on waste management? And what is the way forward? Not just for MBSA, but for all of us in terms of waste management. Okay. Okay. All right. So introduction to Waste Management Association. So we are founded in 2005, a technical and educational NGO, and we represent professionals, practitioners, and waste stakeholders. And we want to promote and encourage the development of high standards of waste industry in Malaysia. So we don't want waste industry to be like in the third class, but we want to improve it to first class. So please, all of you are welcome to join WEM. It's not that expensive, it's cheap. So you can join as individual. 100 admission, 100 annual fees, so only 200, yearly only 100. So I would like to campaign to all of you and also the viewers to join us. Anybody who actually generate waste can join us. Okay. Okay, so you see what's the new normal and what are the positive outcome from our new norms. So as you can see, during this COVID-19 pandemic, we actually, most people have changed their lifestyle. As we listen from the previous speakers, most people stay at home, they do not travel, so less fuels being, less pollutions on the road. And everybody use hand sanitizer. Of course, use hand. Everybody start using hand sanitizer, which is very, very disciplined. And then try to make cashless. We're afraid that our cash may become like transmit the COVID-19. So everybody try to go for cashless, which is good because cashless is like, no paper. And then work from home, since you don't have to travel. And then, of course, you're wearing masks. Everybody wearing masks. Yeah? Almost everyone have to wear masks. Otherwise, you cannot go out. And so online, like what we are doing now, online meeting and online delivery. So in a way, actually, we have changed our sort of routine, our normal, our norms, because people start discipline. Yeah? Okay. So you see, when we have online meeting, we actually carbon footprint. So this is good. We should continue this. In fact, we don't pay for this. Actually have online, but sometimes we have to rely on our internet. Are you okay? Is my voice okay? Is the internet okay? Okay. So next. Okay. So you can see many people also have positive lifestyle. Yeah. Since the outbreak, 50% of people found ways to be more physically healthy. Yeah. Exercise more, maybe eat, I'm not sure, like eat more or eat healthy food. And then, 33% began to track their mental well-being, because staying at home is sometimes can be distressful, but sometimes it's good. For example, you don't have to go through the traffic jam. Yeah? And then 41% expect to maintain a physical, healthier lifestyle. Oh, this is good. And 34% intend to incorporate mental well-being into their lifestyle. So I think this is a good, it's a positive lifestyle. And then, now people don't ask, you sudah makan ke? How are you today? Now people will ask you, what's your temperature? It's never before, people ask our temperature. Okay. And then, okay, in terms of river, wow, this is really good. Our river is cleaner. You see, in March 2020, before the MCO started in, I think, on 17 March, right? So before that, you see this Sungai Gisir. Sungai Gisir is a tributary of Sungai Kelang, located near Hulu Kelang. And you see the, during MCO, it's clean, So it's actually, it's good, really good to see our river is cleaner. And then there's another one. Oops, why this one cannot see? Okay. Okay, you see also our sea, Batu Feringgi Sea, also cleaner, no rubbish on the beach, and cleaner water. So RWK safely discharge of treated effluent into the sea, of course with the DOE standards. And then the river water, there's another one, Sungai Simpang Kanan, Keluang. So also very clean. Okay, you see what's next? There's another positive outcome. There's a waste collection reductions. Can you see Shah Alam? Yeah, Shah Alam City Council, 7.21% reduce. The most of the local authority in Selangor, this is 7 local councils, it's actually reduced tremendously, which is good. The highest Ampang Jaya, 10.77. This is in terms of waste being collected by Kumpulan Darul Ihsan Berhad, the contractor who are entrusted to carry out waste collection in Selangor. Okay, we see next. Waste reduction at landfill too. Of course, when you reduce waste collection, you also reduce waste disposal. There are 6 landfills in Selangor and 80% drop in the amount of waste received. Yeah, because of course, because of commercial areas, industrial zone, and construction sites are closed for business. That's why a tremendous drop, 80%. But actually, also total domestic waste also 90% produced Selangor also disposed in the Selangor landfills. So that means we can see the reduction at the landfill. So it happened also in other states. SW Corp also mentioned that 30% decline in the volume of waste dumped at their Bukit Bakri landfill in Johor. So this is positive, right? Because we want to reduce waste to landfill. But, this is due to the less activities. But anyhow, it's still good. You reduce the pollution of methane gas. But this one cannot. Next. What happened? Okay. See, this also statistics from worldwide. Holding Berhad, landfill in Selangor and the area so receive waste from Selangor. So also reduce, drop a lot, especially in the inert landfills. 80%. Sungai Kertas is for inert landfills, construction, because there's no construction activities. And the rest is a mix of commercials as well as the domestic waste. Okay. So cleaner neighborhood. Okay. MBSA during this MCO, they still continue their operations. They provided the bins, the big bins for people to put the bulky waste. So apparently when they stay at home, they do house cleaning. So when they do house cleaning, the housekeeping, everything, so a lot of bulky waste being thrown. It is in a way it is good. Positive outcome in the sense that you have cleaner neighborhood. Yeah, instead of you have stock of unwanted things in your house, like now you put it out. So you have a cleaner neighborhood. So you have more time to clean up. So clear up your store, everything. But most of it are recyclable, so it is good. At the same time, MBSA also has flying squad to clear their food waste at drop blocks, manned by the police and armed forces in the municipality. So I think this is a noble service by MBSA. All right. I'll make it fast. How many minutes I have? Okay. Challenges on waste management. Wow, this is, we have a very large quantity of new waste. It was not a problem to dispose mass before this, but during MCO, what happened? And people just throw it everywhere. If it's not contaminated, okay, it can be treated as a normal solid waste. But once it's contaminated, it is actually a hazardous waste. But of course, in the hospitals, especially those COVID-19 camp, they will properly dispose the mass. But for public, for us, we dispose at our normal bins. So this is actually one aspect of new waste that we have to tackle. So another thing, increase in packaging waste. During this MCO, people start shopping online. So increase of delivery, by Post Malaysia, by JNT. Suddenly there's so many courier service that I never known before, come out. It's like mushrooms. And then of course these packaging materials are actually, some are recyclables, but some are not. But these are the kind of ways that we have to manage, because of the increase in the online shopping. So even now, I think people continue. I think it's like a lifestyle, a new lifestyle. Even I think after MCO, people will continue to go for shopping online. Okay, another one, food packaging. We have Grab, Panda Food, and not just all this, but also there's a lot of shops also doing food delivery. So when we have food delivery, then means we have a lot of packaging waste materials, plastic. Sometimes they still use polystyrene. So this is also another type of increase of waste, right? Okay. Okay. So the way forward. What's the way forward? Okay, Shah Alam. So I would like to congratulate Shah Alam and Jabatan Pengurusan Sistem Pejabat because they have done this towards waste minimization. Number one, they have waste separation at source. This is very good. They introduced it since 2015. So this one should continue. I think this is really good. As Waste Management Association, we really support this. And then they also have neighborhood recycling center. I think now MBSA have the most numbers of NRC. So they established since 2018. In fact, I think they're going to have more. And also community and school recycling programs. This is also good. The first program launched 2007. And then continuous education and promotion. This is really good. In fact, recently we have done a survey among the Shah Alam residents. Actually, more than 90% of Shah Alam residents are fully aware on recycling. The only thing now is we want to measure how many people really do it. They're aware, they know, but how many people do it? Yeah? So there's another study that we can do. All right. Okay, this is a statistic that I got from Jabatan Pengurusan Sisa Pejabat, MBSA. This is in year 2019. So as you can see, MBSA have actively doing this neighborhood recycling center, and they accept many things, even used cooking oil. So used cooking oil is very important because for us to recycle back into maybe biodiesel or maybe some kind people do soaps or candles, because we don't want this used cooking oil to be processed again by irresponsible people into cooking oil again, so which is very dangerous, very bad for health, as well as we are not sure it come from which restaurants. This is from non-halal, means the cooking oil is not halal. So when we buy we don't buy when you buy cooking oil, so it's best to buy from the the 5 liter bottles or a new well-known brand, so that we very sure that the cooking oil is not from it's not processed from used cooking oil. Okay, they also collected papers, cartons, so all type of recyclables are accepted there. All right, and okay, so I think increasing the awareness of people on 3R is very important, and as well as providing the facilities, the right facilities, the right infrastructures for them to make it easy for them to separate their waste and send their recyclables. So as you can see, if we compare January before MCO 169, February 187, sudden drop in March 2020, 107. There's a huge drop. And in April 2020, start increasing, and May start back to normal. So it shows that maybe due to people afraid to send the recyclables to the center, because of the COVID-19, that can be the reason. And after the the MCO, then people start sending. But of course, people still generate waste, because I can say that the recyclables consist of paper, plastics. This is a normal waste being generated from households. So for MBSA, actually MBSA also have developed a policy statement for 3Rs. So this is very good that later on MBSA can promote this policy to other people, and also develop action plan for 3R. Okay, why 3R? Later I will explain to you. And then should establish target for waste for specific waste. So it is easy to achieve when you have specific target for specific waste. Because for example, if you have food waste, so you know the amount of food waste and you know the target sectors you want to, you can get them to segregate their waste. So at least you can start putting the specific target. I want to reduce food waste by certain percent from, for example, commercial areas. So it will be easy to develop action plan and then to implement. Okay, so this is I'm happy to share here all the initiatives by Jabatan Pengurusan Sisa Pejabat. Oh, very fast. Okay, can I go back? To go back? Oh, okay. Right. So these are the things they have carried out, like awareness program to children, and then giving out plastic bags so easy for people to put their recyclables. Giving the center for drive-through, so very convenient. So this is good. I continue to do it. Maybe at more locations. So let's see why I cannot go up. Next. All right. So for example, this one of their they call it neighborhood recycling center. So should increase this at strategic location. So easy for public to go and send. So I believe the one that instill alarm, they have a very good response from the public. So they accept many things here. So most of the things, if we separate from our home, we can reduce our waste, I think more than 40% already, going to landfill. Okay. Next, there's also another effort by MBSA. They also collect waste from restaurant, food waste. So food waste actually we can convert into compost, or there is a technology like black soldier fly can convert it into animal feed as well as biofertilizer. So you can make use food waste going into the maybe into aquaculture or agriculture sectors. So this is something we should embark a bigger program to have a separation of waste and trade it into animal feed, because animal feed is a very high demand, especially for aquaculture. Because now our seas are polluted, so there's more fish actually being cultured on the land, so need more food waste. Animal feed. Okay, this one should be increased. Okay, next slide. All right, so the way forward. Okay, see, I've been talking about 3R, 3R. What is 3R? So we have to make sure that we do not put the wrong R number one. So 3R means the first R should be reduced. But of course, the best is prevention, avoidance. Because the waste is not generated is better. So you reduce first, then only you reuse. Reuse means we use again without changing the form or shape of the materials. Simple examples, you buy a peanut butter in a glass bottle, and then once it's finished, you use the bottle for maybe to store peanuts or store like curry powder. That one, the term reuse, means we use again but without changing the material. There's no energy required in this case. Just maybe minor rinsing, so you can reuse again. And recycle, next process. So recycle because you need to process, require energy, require a lot of water. So, of course, it's higher cost. So based on this hierarchy, we should reduce first. So the 3R, number 1 is reduce, number 2 is reuse, number 3 is recycle. So do not say it's upside down. So it has to be reduce, reuse, recycle, then only maybe treatment. For example, waste to energy, or maybe, for example, we are doing food waste to compost, and finally disposal. So this triangle should be adopted in any strategic waste plan or master plan or whatever, our policy. This should be our guidance. We have to adopt this because we want to reduce or prevent higher, the largest amount compared to disposal. Should reduce or minimize waste to landfill. So maybe to go for zero waste, maybe it's not possible because there's some waste that still cannot be recycled, some waste still cannot be treated. We still have some residual waste, but the option is we can also go for incineration or waste to energy. So this should be our guidance. All right.
Puan Sharifah, I'm very sorry. Do you have
my
I'm
last
very
slide.
sorry.
This is my last
Okay.
slide. All right. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Puan Sharifah, thank you so much for your very kind remarks towards MBSA. Okay, so I think it's a wrap. Thank you so much, but I have a few things to say myself, but since the time has been towards the very end, so I would like to extend my appreciation to Puan Sharifah, to Encik Muhammad Shah, to Encik Muhammad Radi for participating in our forum today. So I really hope I can see you in the near future towards our next program or our networking session. Puan Sharifah, I'll be seeing you in our council meeting. So it's alright. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.